What does the term more than a game mean to you?
It's not about winning. It's about preparing students for the rest of their life through the platform of sport or extracurricular activities. When I was at Daphne, we had a great band director, Rick Faison. I used to go watch our band practice and watch the discipline that he had with the band, and he had them out there early in the morning. And I watched what he taught his students. Some of them were just so gifted in playing instruments. But what they would do through the work ethic prepared them for the rest of their life. And as today, 90% of them probably don't even participate or play music anymore. It's just like athletics. Only 3% of our athletes ever go to college and participate. So the lessons they learn through sport are the valuable lessons for them the rest of their life. You know, I can still remember my high school football coach, my high school baseball coach, pushing me to do things I never wanted to do. And on those days, I don't want to get out there and cut the grass anymore, or I don't want to clean that garage. Something just pushes you to do it because they taught you that you could do things that you just didn't believe you could do. And they gave you that discipline, that drive, that commitment. And those things that we learn through sport are what make us better in our jobs later in life. So the part of sport that says it's more than a game, the game is really a minuscule part of it. But all that preparation you do for the game, all the efforts that you put forth, get prepared for the next season, that teaches you much more than the little bit of glory time you have when you play in that game.
What does the term more than a game mean to you?
When you can go into a game and be prepared in athletics, done all you can, instill sportsmanship, and if you come up short, you can be able to look at your student athletes and say, we've done all we could, we did it the right way. We may have lost by numbers, but we won by integrity.
It's more than a game because we're not raising, for the most part, pro athletes. We're not raising even in a large number of college athletes. When you consider all the athletes that we deal with every year, what we are raising is future mothers, future husbands, future dads, future moms. And so the future is in our hands.
More than a game to me means the lessons we learn through participating in athletics. And being a former coach myself, I did coach for those 27 years I was in public ed. And my goal every day when I was working with student athletes was not for them to necessarily learn the fundamentals of the game, but to teach those student athletes something that they could carry on with them for the rest of their lives, whether it was to be responsible, to know discipline, to be on time. They'll still tell you today, one thing I learned from Miss Vickers, it was that you have to be on time. So I think more than a game goes far and beyond just the field, the playing field itself. There's so much involved with educational athletics than just the score of the ball.
It is more than a game. Educational athletics is the reason why I'm here now. I wouldn't be here if the teachers and coaches that I had that crossed my path didn't teach more than a game. And that's what we asked all our educators to do, teach more than what you do in the classroom, teach more than what you do in the field, because life is cruel. And you have to be able to adjust and be able to adapt to your surroundings, and I think that's what educational athletics do. So it is more than a game.
More than a game means, it's not all about winning and losing. At the end of the day, when I was a coach, I was hoping that the kids that I coached, what I taught them would help them in life, help them, make those tough decisions, whether it be at a job, in college, or when they're married, but just making those tough decisions and knowing that they could rely on something that their coach or their teacher taught them in the past. I think that's just the biggest thing that we can do for our kids, is just get them prepared for life, and really teach them that there's more than just that end score at the end of the day, more than that score on the scoreboard or wherever it may be, but it's definitely more about them learning, how to become grown men and women.
Well, I think coaches have the opportunity to impact young people for life, not just that winning and losing. And so many times we get caught up in winning. I had this conversation with my wife just this week. We live in a state where all we've ever known in the last 8 or 10 years is national championships. Auburn and Alabama winning them, and Auburn there, and we get so caught up in that where we forget that we're educational based. It's that our kids, 3% of kids are going to go play at the college level. What do we do with that 97%? And how our coaches can impact them.
More than a game is exactly what has kept my passion going, to be honest with you. And I think it keeps all of our passions going here in this office. And it's what keeps the coaches going. Because if it was just the score of the game, then why in the world do we put so much effort into it? It's about teaching kids that they can be better than they ever dreamed they could be, that they are responsible to the person on the right or the left of them, that the team might have a star, but that star doesn't shine quite as much if the rest of those others aren't out there polishing him up a little bit. And then the stories of the communities that rally around the kids, the families. Whatever happens in that community is transferred to what is going on Friday nights, if to use an analogy. And I just loved that part of my job of writing about sports and finding those stories that told about what people could accomplish and what they did accomplish and how they made a difference in people's lives. And I think it's more than a game because it makes such an impact. High school athletics, educational athletics, high school activities are the best times of our lives.
A lot of people say it's just a game when you lose. But on the high school level, it's not just a game, it's a community involvement. High school football, the community involvement, I always loved going to those high school football games on Friday night, getting the community involved. They're supporting that school. They come together, and that's something I think we're losing in this country is that community involvement. And high school sports is something that keeps that together. So it is more than a game. And it's not about winning and losing. It's teaching you how to deal with adversity. It's teaching you how to help somebody else along, building relationships. It's so much more than just a game.